Ukraine says it destroyed the second Russian Key bridge in a week. Russia has announced that it has taken control of more territories in eastern Ukraine. The army released a video showing the collapse of the Zvinoy Bridge over the Siam River. The destruction of the bridge would disrupt Russian military and logistical operations and halt the advance of Kiev's forces, Ukrainian Air Force Commander Lieutenant Gen. Mykola Olszczuk said. It will be recalled that Ukraine destroyed the bridge near the city of Gulshkovo in the same attack last week. President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a statement yesterday evening that a strong fortress will be built in Russia's Kursk region to prevent Moscow's attack. He pointed out that his country's army, which has been in the second week since it crossed the Russian border, has inflicted heavy damage on the Russian army, and said that the campaign will continue until Moscow's counterattack capability is exhausted. Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to President Zelensky, said that Ukraine has no desire to control Russian territory and that its main goal is to put Moscow to negotiations, Reuters reported. Ukraine's border crossing is a serious act of aggression, Russia said, warning that Kiev would pay the price for its aggression. Moscow appears to have preferred to control more territory in eastern Ukraine than to quickly expel the Ukrainian army that has infiltrated its territory. In a statement released yesterday, the Kremlin rejected the statement that talks with Ukraine are to be held this month in Doha, Qatar. In a report published by the Washington Post yesterday, it is recalled that the two countries will send their envoys to reach a ceasefire agreement to protect energy facilities from attack. He said that the Ukrainian army's invasion of Russian territory was disrupting the negotiation process. Maria Zakharova, spokesperson of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, however, stated that there has been no attempt to negotiate directly or indirectly with Ukraine. Donald Trump said he would deport 1 million immigrants if elected. Donald Trump, who is campaigning for the presidency of the United States, is saying that if he is elected, he will deport en masse immigrants who do not have legal permission to stay in the country. While Trump has given varying answers on how many immigrants his campaign will deport, his running mate for the vice presidency, J.D. Vance, has cited one number. "Let's start with 1 million, he said in an interview with ABC News Television. He added, Kamala Harris couldn't pull it off. We can start with 1 million and continue. Despite Trump's campaign slogans promoting mass deportations, deporting hundreds of thousands of immigrants will not be easy and will face legal and financial challenges, analysts say. For their part, immigration human rights advocates are warning that the act of deporting immigrants, which breaks up families, breaks up communities, and violates social values, will cause great harm to humanity. There are about 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, according to a study by the Department of Homeland Security and the Pew Institute. This figure shows that it has not changed much since the European Union in 2005. Most of these immigrants have lived in America for long periods of time. Nearly 4/5 have been in the country for at least 10 years. Under U.S. law, undocumented immigrants have other rights to justice, including having their case heard in court before being deported. Deporting large numbers of immigrants is also said to overburden the immigration court system. Most immigrants in the U.S. are deported not by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE agents, but by various state law enforcement agencies. In addition, many U.S. cities and states have passed laws limiting police cooperation with ICE. Trump's campaign team says it will take action against cities and states that pass these laws to create better conditions for undocumented immigrants. Potential cooperation between ICE and state authorities is critical to mass deportation programs, said Kathleen Bush-Joseph, a policy analyst at the Washington-based Migration Policy Institute, MPI. They say that if the security forces cooperate with the office workers, it will be easier to take undocumented immigrants from prison than to search them at their homes. Florida and Palm Beach states, for example, have issued guidelines not to deploy police officers to deport undocumented immigrants en masse, the analyst cites. Along with this, they say that there are many states that do not support Trump's plan to deport undocumented immigrants en masse, which is an indication that it cannot be implemented. In addition, the mass deportation program could face legal challenges from immigration and human rights advocates. The police announced that the explosion in Tel Aviv was a terrorist attack. The person who carried the bomb that exploded near the synagogue was killed and a passerby was injured, police said. Israel's Police and Internal Security Agency announced today that the deadly bomb blast in Israel's Tel Aviv on Sunday night has been confirmed as a terrorist attack. The person who carried the bomb that exploded near the synagogue was killed and a passerby was injured, police said. This attack has now been confirmed to be a terrorist attack, police and security said in a joint statement today. The explosion occurred an hour after U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv to try to end the 10-month-old war between Israel and Hamas through a ceasefire. The current tension in the region has made the need to reach a ceasefire urgent. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, who served as Hamas's political leader in Tehran, and Hezbollah's top military commander, Shakr, in the suburbs of Beirut have brought tensions to a new high in the Middle East. Iran and its allies Hamas and Hezbollah blamed Israel for the killings. They threatened to take revenge. Iran has stated that it can abandon its retaliation only if a ceasefire agreement is reached in Gaza. The United States, which says that the ceasefire should not be ignored, has sent Secretary of State Blinken to Israel. The president of Somalia said that the Turkish speech failed because Ethiopia does not respect the sovereignty of their country. The president of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, said that the talks between Ethiopia and Somalia in Ankara, Turkey, failed because Ethiopia did not respect Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The president on Saturday, August 11, 2016. In his speech broadcast on the national television station, Ethiopia is persistent in denying the recognition of Somalia's sovereignty, they said. In the Ankara speech, we concluded that Ethiopia is not willing to accept Somalia as a sovereign and independent neighboring country. We will not talk about anything until you accept this, Somalia's sovereignty, he said. Tension has reigned between Addis Ababa and Mogadishu since Ethiopia signed a memorandum of understanding with Somaliland, which broke away from Somalia and declared its independence. This agreement is said to give Ethiopia access to the sea, which it calls a matter of existence, and Somaliland is said to receive recognition of its nationality from Ethiopia in return. Somalia, on the other hand, has been strongly opposing the agreement reached between Addis Ababa and Hargeisa, saying that the agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland violates its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Following this, the foreign ministers of the two countries met twice in Ankara for negotiations under the auspices of the Turkish government. The second round was organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkey last Tuesday, August 7, 2016. Although it was held without significant changes, after it was completed, the third round of speech was scheduled for September 7, 2017. An appointment was made. However, in his speech on Saturday night, President Hassan said that negotiations will not yield results unless Ethiopia respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of its country. Ethiopia is not willing to recognize Somalia's sovereignty and independence as an independent country. We won't talk about the Sea Gate or anything else until this is fixed. Because this violates international laws, said President Hassan, saying that the two rounds of talks in Ankara, Turkey, did not produce the desired results. After Addis Ababa and Hargeisa signed the Memorandum of Understanding, Mogadishu took her complaint from the UN Security Council to various countries and made diplomatic efforts to prevent the implementation of the agreement. After Ethiopia and Somaliland signed the MoU on December 22, 2016, Somalia signed an undisclosed military agreement with Turkey and Egypt. The president has also been speaking with leaders in the region and the Middle East on the issue in person and by phone after the signing of the agreement. Following the speech of the president of Somalia on Saturday night, nothing has been said from the Ethiopian side. However, Ethiopia has been saying in the past that it is ready to hold talks with Somalia that will resolve differences and restore relations. In addition, Ethiopia accuses Somalia of preferring to take the issue to other countries instead of finding a solution to the problem through direct talks. At the end of June, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed spoke about the issue of Somalia in his response and explanation to the questions raised by members of the House of Representatives. There is no need to go from country to sue us. It is possible to come to Addis Ababa. We are ready to talk, they said. 20 young people in Bahardar by the government security. The regime is carrying out mass abductions, killings and arrests of young people in Bahardar, the seat of the region. The first young man was separated and his body was taken to Aba Adama Kabil. When the Oromuma terrorist forces are unable to withstand the blow they are facing from the fighting Amhara Fano, they are committing an international war crime by killing the civilians of the other country without any participation in the war. Following this, a lot of anger was sparked and currently a battle has been sparked in Bahir Dar Zenzelma area. It was reported that drivers who were found to have violated the traffic ban imposed in Wolo zone were fined up to 5,000 ber. From August 13, 2016, it is known that the ban on transportation for an indefinite period of time has been passed. Net Media has been able to confirm by talking to Fano members who are implementing the guidelines that drivers who are found to have violated this directive have been fined up to 5,000 ber. Since the morning, no vehicle movement has been stopped on the federal road from Woldia Dis, except for ambulances, fire engines and electric vehicles. According to the police officers who are enforcing the directive in Warjiza city, the action taken against some vehicles found to have violated the speeding directive is only a lesson. Not only from Dis Woldia, but also from Woldia Kobo, Kobo Alameda and other areas, it was possible to ensure that the traffic stopped. Amhara Fano, who won a victory on 5 fronts, in Gondar, Daily Front Package Information. Amhara Fano has been attacking Abiy Ahmed's army in Gondar since the end of July and is destroying the army. The struggle continues today in a wonderful battlefield adventure on 5 fronts. On Belisa front. In Belsa, the Eagle Belsa Punisher, Kinfaz, in Jela Brigade, Kinfaz, Belsa District, Selail City, while moving 5 oral vehicles to replace the garrisoned army, they waited at Kuk. On Hamuzite front. On Hamuzite, Abiy Ahmed's animal army attacked Hamuzite city and the rest of the dead and wounded rushed into Goala city. The Amhara Fano was followed on foot by the heroes of Gondar. Alpha Takusa front. The Adowa regiment led by the patriot Samuel Baladel passed through Takusa and completely destroyed the Abayan army, which was loaded with 7 orals, from Kula Arbakezan Junction, 5 orals. As a result, 7,500 snipers and weapons were captured. On the other hand, in the same area, on August 10th, An army that was moving from Shora to Jelij with cargo was completely destroyed in an attack by the Ngat Kora Brigade of the Adowa Regiment at a place called Anshaho. When the survivors entered Shora, the Ngat Kora Brigade followed Shora city and joined forces with another army led by Amara Fano of Gondar Tuwadros, led by a patriot. At present, the Amara Fano in Gondar is moving forward to completely control Shora city by circling 360 degrees.
Tachi Armecho.
In Armacho Sanja district, Gaukabil, Amhara Fano, Haile Mamo Brigade of Gondar and Amhara Fano Gondar is Dayon and Wagsham brigades in a joint operation led by a senior officer of the system called Colonel Africa completely destroyed and the military commander escaped. In this context, 3 dances and several group and individual instruments were learned. It was also possible to liberate the city of Mesero.
Soroka Front.
The Freedom Brigade of the Amhara Fano in Gondar Kos Division, the Amhara Fano in Gondar Zirai Regiment, the Satna Yena Tesfu Brigade and the Terra Brigade of the Amhara Fano Gondar EZ Gob Regiment broke down the combined forces of the system and managed to control the temporary camp and surrender Soroka city. The information is from the head of the Public Relations Department of Amara Fano in Gondar, Fano Ashenify Wanduzan. Our struggle has gone through thousands of challenges and won millions of victories. Now the fighters on the show are led by 2 stars. An almost universal order has been created on the wall. Gundor is blasting the enemy through the gap door. Gojam is dressed in a power that destroys most of the eyes of the light Julan while being obeyed by one command. Don't think that this happened overnight. Tens of thousands of Amharic people have been killed, and even worse, we have lost the faces of our struggle. Yes, freedom does not come without struggle, and struggle does not come without sacrifice. As long as we don't end our struggle with victory, the sacrifices of yesterday are still there today and will continue tomorrow. However, now our struggle has gone through thousands of challenges and won millions of victories.
New generation. New thinking. New hope.
Evil to none, goodness to all. Victory for Amhara people. Justice for Amhara people. Freedom for Amhara people.